Thank you, Chair. The agenda, or the Sustainable Development Agenda, calls on states to ensure the rights of Indigenous peoples in their territory, or to their territories and resources, and calls on Indigenous peoples to actively participate in the discussions on taking of decisions. But often, human rights defenders who work as part of the implementation of this agenda face repression. In Russia, cases of criminalization of Indigenous peoples has become systemic. They use the criminal law as a way of repressing legitimate activism. In 2025, in Russia, there was a large-scale wave of repression against Indigenous peoples and those who defend their rights. At the same day, Dara Yegor was detained and is still in custody. She's a representative of the Forum on Climate Change Indigenous Peoples, and she's also a participant in the international movement of Indigenous peoples. At the same time, another human rights defender, Natalia Angar, was arrested. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison for her human rights activities. On the same day, there was investigation and ransacking of 17 areas of work with human rights activists. Those who were searched for the first time participated in a UN conference, and they visited COP13 in Belém in Brazil. And this was a reason for their prosecution. So this isn't simply a formal process. This is pressure to show that no one is safe, that participation in international fora, including UN platforms, can become a justification for persecution. After these interrogations, some human rights activities, for their own safety, needed to leave their countries. We didn't go from our own will. We love our own lands and we never planned on leaving. We don't know when we'll be able to go home, but today we have a choice between freedom and safety. The Permanent Forum previously has underscored that criminalization of the leaders of Indigenous movements includes its institutes and their legitimate rights, and they also need to ensure the protection and safety of human rights activists and provide the necessary environment for their work. We would recommend that we call on the Russian Federation to immediately stop the practice of criminalizing Indigenous rights defenders, free Dara Yegor, and also strengthen international cooperation between UN mechanisms, including treaty bodies and special procedures, to ensure effective protection for Indigenous rights activities, free to all political prisoners around the world.
Agradecemos la intervención.
We